Great, guys. Sorry. Wow. Amazing, guys. So, I don't know where you are watching me from. I don't know where you are watching me from. But I want to say good evening, everyone. Yeah, good evening to you. Good evening, good evening. Those of you who watching, I want you to type in the comment section below, yeah, whether you can hear me loud and clear. Yeah, type in the comment section. If you can hear me loud and clear, give me a yes. Yeah, so let me fix something. Just a minute. I fix something here. Okay. Give me a minute. Yeah, let me fix something. Yeah, great. So we can continue. Yeah, we can continue now. We can continue now. Good. Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this evening. Yeah. So, first of all, if you can hear me clearly, just confirm. By just typing a yes. Yeah. Confirm by typing a yes if you can hear me clearly. Yeah. So, let me just confirm that before we get to this, you are hearing me well. Yeah, just a minute. So I don't know whether you are able to hear me well. If you're able to hear me well, give me give me a one in the comment section. Yeah, if you're hearing me well, give me a one in the comment section. Yeah, give me a one in the comment section. Sorry, let me fix something. I'll be back. Good. Sorry, guys. So this is online. Normally, there's a lot of interruptions. Yeah, but I believe now you can hear me well. You can hear me loud and clear. Okay. So, yes, I can see somebody is saying that we can hear you. So if the sound is clear, just type yes in the chat. Let me know we are together. So today, as you can see, the message, the title up there is How Land Investment Multiplies Your Money and Builds Wealth Over Time. So let me welcome everyone that is joining from different places. Some of you are here in Nairobi, some are in the other parts of the country. And I know there's a lot of people also watching from outside the country, I mean diaspora. So wherever you're joining me from, you are welcome, and appreciate you for taking your time to be here. And I believe that this evening conversation is going to be worth it, because we are talking about something that looks very simple on the surface but has changed the financial future of many people over time, and that is land investments. Okay, yeah, that is land investments. Let me adjust this so that you're able to see me well. Okay, yeah, so that is land investments. Okay, and how land investment is able to multiply your money and build you wealth over time. Okay, so I can see the messages are coming in now. Yeah, continue. If you have a question, you can type in the comment section. So that is good. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, now before I get into the main conversation, let me begin with a very simple question, and I want you to answer me honestly. Yeah, how many of you you have ever looked at a place years later and said, if only I'd bought land then when it was still affordable, if only I'd bought land when it was still affordable? I want you to be honest. If that has ever happened to you, just type me in the chat. How many of you have ever looked at a place years later and then you regretted, if only I'd bought this land when it was still affordable? And maybe you're still regretting you didn't buy. I want you to be honest. If that has ever happened to you, just type me in the chat below. Type me in the chat below if that has happened to you. Yeah, I want you to type me in the chat below. Yeah, this could be a place that is already developed today, but maybe those years they were not developed. Yeah, those places were not developed, and you're wishing that you would have bought property there back then. Type me in the chat below. I'm waiting. I want to see somebody typing me in the chat below, because this is one of those things many people can relate to. In fact, almost everybody who starts paying attention to real estate eventually remembers one place they ignored, one place they postponed, one place they thought was too far, too empty, too early, and then later they found out that the same place is now full of, people. Yeah, full of homes, full of businesses, full of rental units, and the land prices no longer make sense compared to what they used to be. Yeah. So what are we talking about? Yeah. This is a regret many people have had. Yeah. They did not pay attention to a place that today is developed. They ignored that place. They postponed that place. They thought that place was too far. They looked at that place as too empty. It's still too early to invest here. Yeah. And today they're regretting that they didn't make the decision. Yeah. Today the same place is now full of homes, full of businesses, full of rental units, and the land prices no longer make sense compared to what they used to be. Yeah. And that right there is one of the first lessons in land investment. When land is still cheap, I've realized that people hesitate to make investment there. And you realize that some of these people, they question the location. Yeah. Some ask whether development will ever come there. Some are wondering if they are wasting their money. Some are asking, when will the roads arrive here? Those are some of the questions that investors normally grapple with. Yeah. Before they invest. Some are asking, when will the power come here? Some people are also asking, when will people start building here? When will schools and shop begin to appear here? You know? But then all of a sudden, after some few years, normally, because I've been in the real estate for more than 5 years, almost 7 years, finally, development will always come to a place. Yeah. And soon you realize that, the investors now begin to say, they begin to realize that this place is growing. This place is growing. Yeah. The truth, of course, is that the place did not start growing that day. It has been moving in that direction for a long time. It's only that the movement is a bit slow. Yeah. And it's just that many people only notice the development late. So smart investors, they notice development early. Smart investors, they key in when the land is still cheap, when other people are hesitating. That's when smart investors key in. When other people are asking whether development will come, that's when smart investors are investing. When other people are wondering if they're wasting their money, that's when smart land investors key in. When other people are asking themselves, when will the road arrive here? That's when smart land investors key in. When other people are asking, when will the power come? That's when smart investors, they key in and they invest. Yeah. And that is why I wanted us to have this conversation this evening, because land investment has a way of rewarding people who understand growth early and who are willing to be patient enough to position themselves before everybody else catches on. Yeah, that's what smart land investors do. They understand growth early, they are willing to be patient enough, they are able to position themselves before everybody else catches on. Now, let us start with something very basic, because sometimes the most obvious truths are the ones that people ignore, are the ones that people overlook. Every estate you admire today started as a bare land. Yeah. Every apartment block, every gated community, every shopping center, every warehouse, every office park, every school, every hospital, every fuel station, every church building, every busy commercial strip, all of them started with land. That is why I want you to notice that before development, there was land. Before value became obvious, there was land. Before demand showed up in a visible way, there was land. And what that means is that land sits right at the foundation of property wealth. So when people talk about real estate, many times what they picture first is a house. Yeah, they think of the final product. They think of a completed building. But wise land investors understand that one of the best places to pay attention is not only the finished structure, but the ground it sits on and the path of growth around it. Yeah. So let me put it another way. Buildings are important, yes, but buildings come later because land comes first. And the person who understands where value is heading often has an advantage of the person who only wants to buy when everything is already complete and expensive. So you need to realize that the house is the one that comes and adds value on the land. So when do you really make money? You make money when you purchase the land, not when you build the house. Because when you come after the houses are built, the prices and the value of the land will have gone up. because the houses add value on the land. So you make money by buying land before it is developed. Yeah, that's when you make your money. That's when you multiply your money. That's when you grow your money. Now, one of the reasons land keeps becoming more valuable in many areas is very simple. You need to realize that cities are growing, and as cities are growing, populations are increasing. And as population increasing, why? Because families are expanding. Businesses, they need spaces. And as the infrastructure is being built, the road are pushing development further outward. Towns that once looked small begin to connect to larger urban centers. And because of that, places that are once considered faraways are slowly becoming normal places to live, work, and invest. Yeah. So if you think about your own experience, I'm sure you can remember areas that people used to dismiss. Yeah. Areas that people used to dismiss. Maybe they used to say, oh, that place is too far, or nothing is there, or who is going to live in that site? Yet today, if you go there, you might find nice houses, you'll find nice schools, you'll find nice rental units, you'll find fenced plot, you'll find petrol stations, you'll find mini markets, and all kinds of activity. And that kind of transformation does not happen by magic. It happens because development moves, people move, and what happens is that as development moves on the outskirts, on the perimeters of the city, as people move on the outskirts of the city, on the perimeters of the city, on the borders of the city, demand will always follow. Demand for what? Demand for land. Yeah, will always follow. So let me ask you this. Think of one place, just one, that people used to laugh at years ago, but now it is clearly growing, and land there is much more expensive than before. Can you type that place in the chat section below? Yeah. Think of just one place, just one, that people used to laugh at years ago, but now it is clearly growing, and land there is much more expensive than before. I want you to type that place in the chat below. Yeah. I'm waiting for you. Type that place in the chat. If you know such a place, I want you to type that place in the chat below. I would really like to see the kind of areas coming to people's mind, because it helps prove this point is a very practical way. In a very practical way. So, yeah. Can you type, if you know of such a place, I want you to type that in the chat section below. So I want you to realize that that is exactly how land works. At the beginning, it looks ordinary. Sometimes it looks unconvincing. Yeah. But over time, as infrastructure and population move in that, that direction, what once looked quiet starts attracting value. Yeah. Okay. Start attracting value. And this is where the idea of land banking becomes important. Now, that phrase may sound technical, but the idea itself is very simple. Land banking is basically the practice of buying land in a place that is likely to grow and then holding it while the area develops. So you are not necessarily buying because you want to build immediately next month. You are buying because you can see where things are going. You're positioning yourself before the full wave of demands arrive. And one thing I like about land is that compared to many other investment, it has a certain simplicity to it. You know, a building requires management. A building may need tenants. A building may require repairs. So a building will come with service issues. But land, once you have done the important things properly, meaning verification, documentation, access, and due diligence, the land can sit there quietly while time and developments do the heavy lifting. Yeah. And that does not mean every piece of land automatically becomes gold. Let me be clear about that. Not every land purchase is wise. Not every location will perform the same way. This is why information matters. This is why due diligence matters. This is why understanding roads, understanding infrastructure, understanding growth corridor, and legal ownership matters. Yeah. But if you buy in the path of growth, and if the fundamentals are right, land can become one of the most powerful long-term stores of value a person can have. So the secret is you need to buy in the path of growth. And currently, the path of growth for land investment is city metropolitan areas. And within Nairobi, we are talking of 5 areas. Number 1, we are talking of Juja. We are talking of Kangundo Road. We are talking of Kitengela areas. We are talking of Ngong areas. And then we are talking of Kikuyu areas. Those are 5 places. If you buy land there, you can never go wrong. These are areas within 50-kilometer radius from Nairobi CBD. These are areas, if you stretch your arm like this, are you able to access the area in 1 hour or less? That is the area that you need to buy, because the city is expanding in 1 hour or 1 hour 30 minutes areas from Nairobi. Yeah. That's where the city is expanding to. Yeah. So another thing we cannot ignore in this conversation is population growth. And this is one of the biggest forces behind land demand, behind land investment, especially in fast-growing cities and developing regions. More people means more need for housing. More need for housing means more need for land. And it is really that straightforward. It is that straightforward. You cannot talk about future housing demand without talking about land, because every house, every estate, every apartment, every commercial building must sit somewhere. And this is why in many high growth places, land does not stop being irrelevant. Yeah. In fact, land becomes more relevant over time. If a city is continuously attracting people, that means that families are growing, families are increasing. Yeah. So if roads are opening up in new zones, if businesses are spreading, then the pressure on land tends to increase, does not decrease. Yeah. Okay. So the other day somebody was asking me, but what if everybody is going into real estate now? What if there's confusion? What if it crashes? That is a fair question, and I think it deserves an honest answer rather than, just responding to it. The truth is, markets can behave differently in different places, and not every location performs the same way. But where there is a strong population growth, where there is real housing need, and where there is expanding infrastructure, land tends to remain relevant because the need for space does not disappear. Yeah, the need for space does not disappear. People still need homes. Businesses still need location. Yeah. Institutions will still need sites. Development will still need ground to stand on. So the real question is not simply, will land always go up everywhere? The better question is, am I buying the right land in the right path of growth, with the right information and with the right expectation? That is a much smarter question. Am I buying the right land in the right path of growth, with the right information and with the right expectation? That is a much smarter question. Now, let's talk about something many people need to hear, especially you younger people, or those who feel like real estate is for, others, not for them. A lot of successful people in real estate did not start as large developers. They did not start by buying huge blocks of land. They did not start by building estate. Many of them started by understanding the business from the inside. Some started as agents. Some started as brokers. Some started by marketing land or property for established companies and earning commissions. Then instead of spending everything they earned, they use part of that income to begin acquiring land for themselves. So that is an important lesson because it shows that sometimes entry into real estate is not through massive capital on day one. Yeah. Some of you are waiting to have massive capital. Some of you are not starting because you don't have capital. You are paralyzing yourself because you are analyzing too much. You can begin real estate as a broker. I started real estate as a broker, selling somebody's parcel of land. The land was not mine. The land was someone else. Yeah. So some of you are waiting to have huge monies to begin. You're paralyzing yourself. You're grounding yourself. You will never fly. Yeah. So this is an important lesson because it shows that sometimes entry into real estate is not through massive capital on day one. Sometimes it starts with learning how the market works. Sometimes it starts by learning how to sell. And this is very important. Actually, the most important thing that you need to understand, some of you want to get into real estate, either selling land or houses. If I was to advise you, is that what I'll tell you is the best place to start is to learn how to sell real estate. Yeah. Not owning real estate. Learn how to sell real estate. Learn how to identify value. Learn how to talk to buyers, customers, clients. Learn what makes a location attractive. Yeah. And then using that knowledge and those earnings, you can gradually build your own position, you can gradually build your own company. So when somebody says, I don't have enough money to start, sometimes what you really mean is, I have not yet seen a realistic entry point. And one realistic entry point can be learning the business, can be participating in real estate, can be learning about real estate, building credibility and earning from it, and then investing what you make from your commission or from selling other people's property. Yeah. Then the money that you get, you save. Then use that money now to begin to buy properties. You can even start with a 50 by 100, you buy and then you resell. Can begin to buy quarter acre. You can begin to buy half an acre. You can begin to, then you move to 1 acre. Then you move to 1.5 acres. You move to 2 acres, 2.5 acres. You move to 3. Soon before you realize, you'll be a big developer. Now, another important thing in this journey is patience. Let me stay here for a moment because this one is very important. This one matters a lot. We live in a time where people want everything to happen fast. We're in a microwave kind of season. Everybody wants a breakthrough immediately. Everybody wants to drive a big car. People want to buy today, and boast tomorrow. But you need to realize this, that land investment does not always work like that. In many cases, land investment rewards patience more than excitement. It rewards people who can think beyond the next 3 months. Yeah. Land investment will reward people who understand that value often becomes obvious later, not immediately. And this is one of the reasons many people miss out. I've realized that people want something that proves itself instantly, but land often starts by looking unimpressive before it becomes important. And that is why vision matters. That is why information matters. That is why patience matters. In fact, if you study many people who have built wealth through land, you'll notice that they often did something simple but uncommon, unusual. They acted before the majority became convinced. Yeah. Then they waited. They did not necessarily make noise. They just held their position while the area matured. Now, let me make this practical. Imagine two people, both of them hear about the same developing area. The first one says, let me wait until I see houses there. The second one says, let me do my checks. Let me confirm the documentation. Let me look at the access road. Let me understand what developments are coming. And if it makes sense, let me secure my position now. 5 years later, when the area has improved, the first person now feels more comfortable buying, but at a much higher price. The second investor, on the other hand, is already smiling because the biggest gain often comes from entering early. That is the quiet power of the right timing. And that is why many older investors, when they speak honestly, usually say some version of the same thing. I wish I had bought more land earlier. Notice they rarely say, I wish I waited longer. The regret is usually on the side of delay, not early action. At the same time, let me balance this by saying that early action should never mean careless action. It is not enough to be early. Yeah, it is not enough to be early. Just a minute. Let me plug in my charger. Let me plug in my charger. Let me plug in my charger. Good. We can continue. Yeah. So I was saying that entering early does not mean that you be careless, just rushing to buy property. It is not just enough to be early. Yeah. You also need to be right. You need to be careful. Yeah. So that means you need to check the ownership, the documentation. You need to verify documents. You need to understand the seller. You need to confirm the access. You need to be clear about what exactly are you buying, because good land investment is not blind excitement. You need to be informed. You need to be alert. You need to be aware. You need to do your thorough due diligence. Now, there is also an emotional side to land investment that people do not talk about enough. Yeah? People do not talk about enough. Land is not just about money. In many cases, it is also about peace of mind. It's about security. It's about future options. So you need to realize that owning land gives a person choices. You may hold it, you may build on it later, you may sell it at a better time, you may leave it for your children, you may use it as a foundation for another investment, and that is flexibility, and that is part of the power of land investment. Yeah. And for many families, land ends up becoming one of the few assets that genuinely transfers value across generation. You can transfer your land from one generation to another. A person may not leave behind a finished mansion. Yeah. You may not leave behind a finished mansion. You may not leave behind a huge company. But if you secured well located land early and held it wisely, that alone can become a powerful inheritance that you can leave to your children or to your children's children. That is why land should not always be viewed only as a transaction. You need to view land as a long-term decision. It's about legacy, it's about generation, it's about opportunity, it's about positioning. So let me ask you something before I begin to wrap this up. If you had clear information today, about where growth is likely to happen in the next 5 to 10 years, would you want to know early, or would you prefer to hear about it after the prices have already gone up? I think most people know the answer to this. The challenge, of course, is not desire. The challenge is learning how to spot the signs early enough and then having the discipline to act wisely. Yeah. So, as we come towards the end of this session, let me leave you with a simple picture. In every growing town or city, there are usually two kinds of people. Number one, there are those who look at a certain area later and say, I wish I bought land there years ago. Then there are those who look at the same area and say, I'm glad I bought land here early. Yeah. Both groups lived in the same time. Both had things. Both saw the signs. Both had the moment to act. The difference was not that one group had supernatural information. Many times the difference was simply that one group understood the direction of growth and chose to position themselves before the crowd arrived. And maybe that is the biggest takeaway from tonight's conversation. Land investment is often not about chasing what is already obvious. It's about understanding what is becoming obvious slowly and then moving with patience, with wisdom, with good information. So I want to thank you so much for being here this evening. I truly appreciate your time, your comments, your attention, and I hope this conversation has helped you think more clearly about land, not just as a property, but as a long-term wealth tool that rewards timing, understanding, as patience, as a long-term multiplier of your money. And if this session has been useful to you, I want you to share it with somebody who needs to hear this. Share this 50 times. Yeah. Because sometimes one conversation at the right time can change the way a person thinks about money for years to come. So thank you once again, and want you to subscribe to my channel and share this 50 times with your friends, with your colleagues, with your workmates, with your business friends. So thank you once again, and have a wonderful evening. I am Bob, a real estate investor and a developer, investment advisor, coach, trainer, and a mentor, and I help you multiply your money through land investments. If you're interested in multiplying your money through land investment within the Southern Bypass area, then I am the go-to coach. My number is on this platform. You can check me out on my social media pages, and I'll be glad to connect with you. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful evening.